Hey, welcome back to 101.3 WFPP The Pew with your host, Doc Levac, aka Alex Levac. Haven't made a video in a while, and we got the LA peaceful riots apparently. So we know that ICE and the Homeland Security and other operations were going after like a Home Depot and some businesses in San Diego and LA and all over the country, really. And there was some people that like leaked that information from the general public about it. And the one dude that put it out on Twitter or whatever, X, whatever you call it, he had to turn himself in because what he did was like a federal crime. And he like deleted his TikTok. And then, anyways, um, one person is 100% confirmed deceased after the overnight in the riots. Somebody died. I remember the 1992 Rodney King riots, and you know, I'll never forget the video of the cops doing that to Rodney King, and then there was a white semi truck driver that gets pulled out and nearly beaten to death on, it was like from a helicopter, it was on live TV. Um, and I know there was at least a few deaths during the 1992 riots. Um, but it's totally peaceful. Just people having fun watching cars burn. That's what they say on the news. Uh, just just know that I somewhere along the lines I saw that the Biden administration actively tried to cover up the uh, ecological disaster of East Palestine, Ohio, and the 22 surrounding states when the EPA was allowed to ignite chemical bombs in the United States of America. Good times. I can't even believe I'm saying that in real life. I remember I'm from Minnesota. I don't keep like close tabs on it, but I found out that there was a nuclear reactor leak that went unreported for over 13 or 14 months. And that was where um, not safe drinking water was being allowed, into the St. Croix and the Mississippi and the Minnesota River. So it's like, and they're allowed to get away with it. They get less than $1 million fine for a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and that's just how it goes. Um, the Biden administration tried to cover it up, and you know, look what happened during the Paradise fires in California, the Hawaii fires, the I mean, and it's like then they bring in 10 to 20 million people, illegal military age people. My Red Dawn scenario. I still think that, believe it or not, that's going on all over the world right now. And you can just see the mass migration to all these different countries and what's going on afterwards. And it's all planned out. This has all been planned out since the early night. Probably it might even been planned out in, 100 years ago. And they're just slowly, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, getting there. And we, the people, do we really have a choice? We can vote for an individual leader, but their political donors and the corporations that, call the shots and get all the 100% everything for them. And it's like, it's still not enough. Record profits for these companies claiming poverty. They can't pay the American worker a livable wage because they need more training, and they're sitting on record profits the last 20 years claiming poverty, saying they can't pay American workers because they're not trained well enough. And then if you look at anybody that went to a college and wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a degree that's basically fucking worthless, how would you feel if you had all this debt and you literally can't get a decent paying job because you're not trained enough? They made you go to a higher education institution that claimed it could get you this great job. How's that working out? Nice. And that's just how I feel. Like, it, if you we I mean, I wish I could like bring up the graphs and be like, well, this is how much a house was in 1960, and this is how much a house was in 1980 and the year 2000, and blah blah blah, and show you how little your dollar is worth, you know, than it used to be. And your money power, buying power, is like, it's at least 80% of what it was in 1980. You know, that the $5 could buy a shit ton of stuff back in the 80s. Now, I mean, you can't even get a McNugget meal for less than $8 or whatever the fuck it is now. You know, it's outrageous. And, you know, all the stuff, all the price increases, and there's only one thing that didn't keep current with the price increase: the rate of pay. And then you have companies that have been sitting on record profits for the last 20 years, year after year, making more money each and every year, and then going, well, but we can't pay an American worker. We need to bring in all these, H1B1 immigrants that are tech savvy and know how to code and all this other stuff, right? And it's like your country has been mortgaged. The future of your country has been mortgaged for the benefit of a very few people. And it's like, if you didn't see what the biggest heist in 2001, September 11th, 2001, there was like the biggest transfer of wealth since, oh, and then, I mean, it was like, I thought Doge was going to do an audit on Fort Knox. Whatever happened to that? It's been 50, 70 years, something like that. Since, I think it was like the early, mid 70s was, I think, the last time they actually did a physical audit of Fort Knox. What about Doge dividends checks? Remember that? They were going to give you Doge dividends. Now Doge isn't even a fucking thing anymore. All this stuff that they're telling you that they're going to do is just another carrot for you to follow. And I just it's safe and effective. Just if you just trust the science, don't do your own research, okay? You'll be fine. Everything will be great. Your your water hasn't been making your IQ drop 10 to 20 points every 2 decades since it's been around since 1940. The genetically modified foods that you're eating with unneeded carbohydrates added to everything that turns to sugar, and the source of all cancer, I'm going to bet you money that that goes back to sugar, you know? And it's so, just think about it. The diabetic rate in America since 1950 has gone up nearly 700%. And you want to know why? Because they put sugar into everything. And then they put a bunch of petroleum based byproducts of fuel into your food as food enhancements, or, like they're literally feeding you cancer. Like in the state of California, I lived in California for like almost 12 years, right? And in the state of California, if you look at the products, it'll say this product is known in the state of California to cause cancer. But anywhere else in the USA, that same product will not have that label on it, right? But the fact remains the same, that it does cause cancer, no matter if you're in California or not, right? And like, so everybody just needs to either, this is why they went after the hippies so hard, because they just wanted to not work they didn't want to have to work as hard. They wanted to live together in a commune, not have to pay taxes, and just, you go do the weeds, I'll rototill, you pick it on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I do it Thursdays and Fridays, and he does it Saturday, Sunday, okay? And that's how everybody should be living, right? We have more homeless people currently in the United States than there has ever been, even more than the Great Depression. We've had a drug overdose epidemic going on since the mid 90s. More people have died from drug overdoses than World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Iraq War, the first Iraq War, the second Iraq War, and Afghanistan combined. That's how many people have died since the mid 90s from a drug overdose. And nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. And it's like, you look at these doctors that were getting paid massive amounts of money to prescribe OxyContin or oxycodone or whatever the byproduct is, Adderall, all this stuff, right? Just to get you hooked on a feeling, you know? That one song, I hooked on a feeling. Anyway, it's just we have to understand that the 90% of carbon that Agenda 2030, they've been talking about it since the 90s, that they want to get rid of is you, it's me, it's anybody that they deem not important, they want to get rid of. Bill Gates had a 2015, you could watch it on YouTube. And I forget if it's might be the World Economic Forum 2015, but he talks about wanting to get rid of 80 to 90% of the populations through vaccines. And he started in Africa, and you can see the effects. They'd say, well, it's Ebola or it's I forget the other one that came out of Africa, but those are scary viruses, right? Like I remember during the one of the Obama terms, they had to lock down somebody that came back from Africa that was a nurse that got it, and they really were worried about that kicking off. Right, that was another scare tactic that they had. Was like bird flu for the 10th time is going to, that's why eggs are $19.99 for 2 dozen or whatever it is. It's very expensive, and you know, lest we forget that during the mandatory lockdown of 2 years, that over 80% of all small businesses were forced to shut down to some degree during the pandemic, right? And we know the top 1% owns 97% of everything, guys. I mean, it's unreal if you really look into it, and how 4 or 5 companies run the entire economy of the U.S. BlackRock, Vanguard, City State Mutual, um, Black Cube. They all worship the Black Cube. Hey, all right. So, like I say, sorry I haven't made a video in a while. Um, I was really hoping we were going to get the Epstein something on that. Um, Instead, we got cocaine in the White House. Hey, it's called Hunter or Joe Biden. Case closed. Um, I thought that Cash Patel and Don Bengioni were going to fucking blow the lid off this shit, and we were going to figure out who was on the goddamn list. And even though we know that one of the ladies that has tried to get charges, heard in court about Epstein and all the people involved, she got hit by a bus and then said she's not suicidal, and then she committed suicide. Okay. So, I mean, and it's like in your face. What are you going to do about it? In your face. What's up? I just want to hear Marv Albert. In your face. And, I just see it like this opportunity that we have to root and stem, get rid of the evil, um, corruption, the nepotism that we have in this country. Um, I don't need another 20 years of a Bush dynasty or a Clinton dynasty. Please, no. If anyone in the Bidens run again, I swear to God, I will be like Scanners. My head will explode. Okay, and I just think that when you understand that you, me, anybody that we know that doesn't have 80 gajillion dollars, they wouldn't piss on us if we were on fire, and that's the 90% of carbon that they want to get rid of for their 2030 agenda. And you know, you can call me crazy. You can tell me I'm a lunatic or whatever you want. I don't just at me at the comments in there if you know you agree or disagree or you want to hear a topic for me to go over. But I'm just the military industrial complex is getting $1 trillion this year. I mean, the there's a black hole from the Pentagon that's $36 trillion. Do you know how much the national deficit is? It's $36 trillion. Do you remember on 9/11 when Donald or 9/10, September 10th, the day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld came out and said the Pentagon is missing $2.3 trillion. Guess how much the Iraq and Afghanistan war ended up costing initially? You guessed it, $2.3 trillion. Amazing. It must have been a coincidence, guys. All right. Well, like I said, at me in the comments. Hit the like button for me. Uh, Tell your mama, your brother, your daddy, and your sister. Okay, sub up. Gee, we'll see it. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. And till the next one, guys. Peace.